All right.
Hello, welcome to episode 173 Dissonant Waves. Domino, Rix, and Trix, and all of the people are here, as you would normally expect.
Which is
Yes.
just Domino, Ritz, and Trix.
There's only three of us, shocker.
Yep.
And we have a lot to cover this week.
We do.
Trix, responding to recent events, picked the latest Tenacious D album, and perhaps the final Tenacious D album, Post-Apocalypto, and included having us watch the animated movie shorts, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Ritz picked two things: Oolong self-titled, and the new album from Gatecrash, their first debut album, I believe, The Life That Lies Between.
Yep.
And I picked Donny Benét's Infinite Desires, the exclusive tour CD from Your Arms Are My Cocoon, Colorful Failure, Chicago 2024, and related to that, the debut EP by Afraid of Crushes, the Your Arms Are My Cocoon Fifth Wave emo side project that's not Screamo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk, like as we've been doing when we get a real bad thing recently. Let's just talk about Post-Apocalypto.
Okay. I watched this as it came out. I saw the announcements for it. I'm like, oh shit, that actually looks like it might be good. I'll watch it, especially because it was on YouTube for free.
Which is very shocking, considering
Yeah.
just the dicks and everything else.
Yes, it is no longer on YouTube anymore
Yes.
because of the dicks and everything else.
Um,
But I feel like my relationship with this can be summed up with the message that I sent while I was watching it again for the episode, and that was I blanked out the robot pussy. My brain has like seen this as like such a traumatic event that like it blocked that part off.
Understandably so. The thing to talk about here, for those who don't know, Post-Apocalypto, Jack Black and Kyle Gass animated it themselves. It's a slideshow. It is. They have frames of animation sometimes, but it's mostly just a shot, a shot, a shot. Nothing super connecting. Nothing super like animated in a traditional way. It's almost like a previs thing if you're used to like pre-production stuff where you see like I remember on the DVD for Shoot 'Em Up, that movie from like 2007, they were showing you like the previs scenes and like the sketches and stuff and how things were supposed to look, right?
Mhm.
This isn't even on that level because in that level you have like a through line, a follow through where you're understanding kinetically how the images line up and like go together. This is like steps above a slideshow. It's like for every frame they have, they need like at least one more to kind of like show you more information.
Yeah.
I think I have a really good way of actually kind of explaining this. Well, I guess not in their way, but just explaining how I feel about this album. And the first one is to say that Trix, you were my favorite. Emphasis on the fucking word "were." This was an absolute slog to get through, and you lost
I
you
will, I
lost
will
your
earn it
goodwill
back.
pretty faster.
I will
Probably,
earn
but
it
you
back.
lost your goodwill that you built up. But the thing that after all this time, even though I listened to parts of this when it came out, I didn't listen to the full album when it came out. I didn't like the parts that I listened to, so I didn't care to listen to the full album. Shocker, it works like that sometimes. But even though that, every time I think about what year did this come out, I think surely this is 2020. This feels like something that was released just in the midst of COVID, just with the themes that are going out, which is about
Yes.
escaping the Earth and the apocalypse, and
Going to the White House and killing Donald
Going
Trump
to
Jr.
yeah,
Yes.
all that. But the main other thing about it, and it's not because holy shit, this predicted the future kind of way. It's especially for Tenacious D and a lot of bands. I feel like when they release stuff that they just kind of had made in 2020, and it was like the whole COVID record. It felt a lot more amateurish just because of what you could actually do. You know, there was a
Yeah.
lot of restrictions and where you could go recording. You know, people would have to do it from their bedroom. You know, you'd get, I guess,
Yeah.
some of those bedroom recordings and stuff like that, but you'd also wouldn't get the chemistry of being right there. That's how it feels. Like, this feels like one of those experimental things that people did during COVID because you had to do something.
Yes, and
What's
down to just the skits sounding like the first take of line reads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing. And I actually think if this was out during COVID, one, it would have gotten a better reception because I think a lot of people would have just liked to hear Tenacious D being Tenacious D and a new thing. And two, it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But no, this is 2018. I mean, it's not like the themes in here are completely like only 2020 did we notice it. No, there were obviously like the Charlottesville riots was a big thing that happened early on in Trump's presidency. Donald Trump Jr. has always been quite vocal since I guess the campaigning as well. So him being the main villain, it's not like that's a whole no one knew. You know, these are quite prominent things. I guess the whole fucking Trump presidency was full of notable events. Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought?
But it's just, I mean, in another way as well, I don't think it covers the politics well, and that's another thing I guess I could compare to a lot of COVID. When a lot of people were talking about COVID when it happened in music and stuff like that, I don't think people could really properly explain it.
Yeah.
Like, I think when the years came by and people now finally get that kind of hindsight and talking, people were able to kind of actually properly explain how it was better. And I actually got recommended, and I think this is the best thing I can compare it to because one, I actually searched up the graphic novel a little bit, and it was on the same publisher as the thing I got recommended and bought the other day was Fantagraphics. My friend recommended me this series called Megan Mog, and there was a graphic novel book from it called Crisis Zone, which was apparently all written during COVID, and the story kind of just evolved as COVID was going on. And you read that story and go back on it, and that feels like a much more kind of black comedy about what's actually happening, and then all this. And I know I'm kind of getting on a tangent at sauce because it's not even a fucking COVID album.
Go on a tangent, please.
This, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to know the really weird thing about this album, though? I remember it specifically. This was supposed to be like a big comeback for them, and like they were pitched around, and they were on like Hot Ones and all that kind of shit, doing like the commercial ring around to like promote it. So I feel like this was supposed to be much bigger than it actually was.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a concept album, right? And it's like,
yeah.
I listen to the album separately from the watching the thing because I do my 3 listens. I listen to the album twice and I watch the thing in finality, like a couple hours before this. A huge slog to get through. It's terrible. But listening to the album on its own, it is okay because you're not getting all of the skits. You don't get the context super much, but the songs themselves, the instrumentation is the best it's been.
It is pretty tight. I can't deny the actual backing instrumentation to these songs are really well executed. But the problem is, and this is, I guess, how I feel about later Tenacious D music anyway, is that, I mean, Tenacious D's forefront has always been the stories, the comedy. That's their selling point.
Yes.
Anyone who tries to claim otherwise is an idiot. Sorry. But the jokes, the stories, all of it was just really painfully unfunny. I'll actually go back and compare it to the Megan Mog book again because that has a very similar theme that happens where it's in Megan Mog. It's quite a grotesque art that's happening with all these. There's quite a lot of sex scenes that happen in it as well, and it's very grotesque in a way. But with Tenacious D, it's grotesque in a different way. Because with Megan Mog, it's the whole concept and just the way that it's depicted. It kind of gives this kind of all gross kind of thing. Whilst this, the art style is just so fucking ugly.
Yeah, it's truly like
just,
2 guys drew it.
I'm concerned.
Weird that the genitals are the most detailed parts.
They're not even that detailed.
Yeah, but they're more detailed than everything else.
I know. Jack Black looks nothing like Jack Black.
No.
Kyle Gass looks nothing like Kyle Gass.
No. Parts.
Fucking Kyle looks like Mr. Krupp from Captain Underpants.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right on that. You're back on the good books.
Hell yeah.
Like, the fact that they fucked themselves up that much is crazy to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it doesn't even go back around and it's like, oh, okay, well, now they're going so double down on it that it's funny. It's just, yeah, I mean, Jables Jr. is just that and Jables Sr. both having the same style, but it's like, it doesn't look like you.
No.
No.
The album to compare this to, Trix, you gotta be thinking it too.
Are you gonna say a Rush album?
No. It's Money Money
I was gonna
2020
say
Part 2.
Wisconsin. I was also thinking that actually.
Like, talk about the network. Talk about Green Day and Green Day's lack of actual politics and like political acumen. I think that kind of ties in with Tenacious D because Tenacious D has nothing really to say about politics in this. They just have a hate towards Donald Trump and his family and the Nazis and the KKK, and they want to kill them. And that's pretty much the only major political statements they make.
Yeah, it reads like political satire, but it's hardly even satire or parody or just comedy. It's just killing them, and it's not like I'm trying to do this in the whole defend the right type of way. Because no, I wouldn't. I mean, we can go back to fucking early Dead Kennedys, Nazi punks, fuck off. We still have a belief that Nazis shouldn't be involved in any space whatsoever. And, you know, just because you've done an animation of you shooting Nazis, though, it doesn't mean... And hardly an animation, just a bunch of stills. They're kind of crudely drawn in a pretty bad way. Doesn't suddenly mean that it's like, oh, this is good, though. Like, just because I kind of agree with the politics, it doesn't mean I agree with this being good.
It shows where their mind is, though, which, you know, when you see Kyle Gass say what he said, that he hopes that the shooter doesn't miss next time, it's completely in line.
And let's put our point right here as well, that we stand with Kyle Gass. There's no reason why any... Yeah. It's a comedy show. They made a joke birthday wish. Any corporation or anything like that was genuinely trying to... I mean, even for Jack Black for apparently being associated with it, anyone that's... I don't even have a go at Jack Black because people got to make a living. I don't know how much fucking money he... I agree. No, I agree still. But I'm not going to have a go at him for it.
Kung Fu Panda 4 is out, isn't it?
Probably. Wasn't planning on watching it.
I'm going to look this up. If Kung Fu Panda 4 is out, then it doesn't matter because he made that money.
Kung Fu Panda 4 is out.
Then it doesn't matter. People fucking saw it. He made his money. Okay, maybe he won't get cast in Mario and Bowser in the next Mario movie again, and that'll be disappointing. But like, denouncing Tenacious D and Kyle for what he said is literally a skit in Tenacious D.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I'm not having a go at him, but I do agree. I'm fully disappointed.
Can I say something that I'm kind of disappointed in myself for? I'm disappointed in the fact that I'm still kind of excited for the Minecraft movie.
I'm sure he'll be fine in it, but it's going to be tainted by the fact, if this continues, that he betrayed Kyle over something that, if that joke was made like this week, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. Like, everybody's moving on to JD Couchfucker Vance.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, no one was actually offended outside of Senator Babbitt. Well, Senator Babbitt was the only one who I saw who made a funky thing, and I feel disgusted calling him a senator. He's just some fuckwit down from Victoria who's decided that his best way of fixing Australian politics is to fucking just go, how much do I love Trump? And the last one we had of that was good old Nick Adams. And let me finish this one, because Nick Adams is a fucking genius, because when bird flu had a rise over in his Sydney suburb, he decided that the best solution was to kill every pigeon.
Pigeon.
That worked the last time you guys declared war on birds.
Didn't put out any strategy on how to do it. He was just like, get rid of all the pigeons. Bird flu would be so smart fucking man. And then now he's babbling on chump shit, and I mean, fucking Babbitt down in Victoria, who wanted to, and he has no power, by the way. So anyone who actually thinks that Babbitt was the reason for fucking Tenacious D doing, no, he has absolutely no power. I doubt Tenacious D even fucking saw it.
Is this the only thing that happened Like the only blowback anywhere that happened to anything.
Yeah, this is the only thing this is like the only negative effect of the Trump assassination is we lost Tenacious D.
What a fucking weird thing that is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, what fucking timeline are we in now? Like, I'm scared.
No. We had one negative, one other negative as well. Didn't hit his head.
There you go.
To be fair, if you put into context that the shooter was 150 feet away, or 150 yards away, and was using iron sights, it gets a little more impressive.
Sorry, I'm not American enough to know how guns work.
So 150 yards is about 150 meters.
I didn't want the explanation.
Anyway, I want to go back to my point about the network. In that, for all of the jokes about Green Day not being really political, despite making American Idiot and everything, the network actually has political ideas and points of view.
Yes.
They're making fun of Elon Musk, which Post-Apocalypto just embraces Elon Musk, weirdly.
Yeah.
Yep.
They go against Trump, Art of the Deal with the Devil, one of the best songs on the album. Like, they have a whole worldview that they express through going on about COVID. It's their COVID album that was influenced by COVID. It's again, comparing to like, oh, this came out in 2018. If that came out in 2020, those two things would be side-by-side comparisons. Easily.
Yeah.
And so it's, again, wild to me that Green Day somehow did it better.
I mean, even as someone who doesn't care too much for that network album, I fully agree. There's moments on it that are a lot memorable, just even them talking about the politics. I mean, even the fucking introduction to that "We Told You So."
Yeah.
It feels like more of a statement than any... Yeah, it feels like more of a statement than anything on Post-Apocalypto. And I guess it's not always supposed to be a political thing, but they are obviously they've talked about how they've been inspired by it, so it's still something to mention. But why? Why out of all of that, if they're going to make this whole political album or storyline and stuff like that, is just half of it fucking just sexy? It's not even a joke. Like, how long can you watch Jack Black apparently have... That should have hurt his career more than asking Kyle Gass what he wants for his birthday. Is the fucking amount of sex in this that it's just... I mean, fucking... It's overdone. I don't feel offended. It's not like I'm feeling offended or anything or upset by all these naughty things, because I'm a fucking porn addict, man. I'll fucking happily look at nudity and sex all the time. But it's not even falling under that. It's just disturbing.
There's some like
that's what is on his mind or on their mind. It's not comedy. It's just weird.
I don't think we're the type of people to be those Gen Z Puritans that are like railing against sex in any form in any piece of media.
Nah.
Even if Trix and I are more on the asexual side of things.
I was told in year 8 whilst watching a Shakespeare adaptation by a classmate of mine that every good movie needs a sex scene, and I am yet to see a reason why that isn't true.
Like, there is... Okay, the first sex scene being kind of a rape scene is also kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they wake up and the women that are taking them in... Also, the depiction of women is completely fucked. Also. Weirdly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm shocked by how fucked that is. But, yeah, they tuck the Jack Black and Kyle in for the night, and then they wake up to them sucking their dicks. And Kyle's all cool with it, and Jack Black is like, wait, no, I'm shy. I don't know if I want this. And it's very weird.
Yeah.
Like, he eventually finds a girl that's as shy as he is, and it makes it okay, I guess. But, like, the song is about, ooh, I don't know if I want this. Please wait, I'm shy.
Also, the woman's name is Conchita. I feel like I have to point that out.
Yes. What about it?
I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me.
I mean, also the fact that I believe she's depicted as being of color, correct?
I believe so, but
all the women pretty much are. There are a couple aren't, but mostly they are.
Mostly they are.
J. Bulls Jr., white as hell.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah, it's shit. But
like
the most redeemable thing about this whole ordeal, the only thing you could actually say was the backing instrumentation for some of the songs were actually really tight. And I guess their performances were tight as well at some point. But to me, just none of that creates any kind of net positive to just what is really bad. And I know you could just judge this as an album, but this is supposed to be, in a sense, a kind of a musical, to be honest.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, yes. But I will say,
and
in a preview,
judging it as that,
I'm just saying, in a preview for my rankings, taken on its own as an album, that's not my least favorite of the week. Taken on as the full thing, it's my least favorite of the week.
Yeah, as a full thing, I didn't listen to the album by itself. I wasn't going to after watching this.
I have in the past. I just didn't this week.
And as a full thing, I kind of want to give it a 0, to be honest, because it's just, to me, a 0 means nothing redeemable. And
there's one redeemable thing, if you ask me.
What?
And that is the theme song.
It's fine. It's good. It's Tenacious D.
I think it's the best song off the album.
Probably. You know what? I will agree that it's the best song, but is it redeemable? And the case of redeemable means that
I don't think it's fully redeemable, but I think it gives it like a 1 as opposed to a total 0.
Because if it's a case of net positive equals net negative, that should be a 5, I guess. It should be an average.
No, let's not
give
it that much credit.
It's not entitled.
No.
I'm not giving the film. I'm just talking about rankings in a theoretical sense. I think I'd probably have to agree with Trix that this is probably a 1. I don't think it is quite as bad as it can possibly get, but my heart says it's a 0, so I'm going to go with my heart.
Here is the question that we have to ask when we compare worst albums of all time. Would you rather listen to this or Party Rock?
No. The question has to be larger than this.
Yeah, as a musical and Party Rock, this is compare. I'm just saying this quickly to answer Trix's question, Dominic. As an album by itself, it would be a lot less offensive to the ears and to the eyes. So it would probably be higher than Party Rock. But comparing this as a musical to Party Rock, we start getting into a proper question.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I want to add Dominic. Drones. And sorry for party rocking.
I would also like to add in D.D. King.
D.D. King's
I think we're going to have a... Yeah, D.D. King's a different thing. I think we're going to have a really good end of the year when we have to decide what the worst album was that we listened to this year.
Are we going to bring that back this year?
I think we have to, with how much shit we've listened to.
Yeah.
Like, on the spectrum of, like, drones... LMFAO in general, and this. How are you feeling? I know it's been a lot for you recently, Ritz, and I'm sorry.
So, LMFAO, this, and drones. What would I say is the worst? What would I say is the best? What is the middle? It's a very hard thing to do. But I think if we actually talk about it musically, in a sense, drones kind of is better. It's not a high bar. Its majority of the hate comes from how much of a disappointment it is. Whilst I'm not as disappointed as LMFAO, I never had high hopes of them.
There's no expectations there.
Yeah, and Tenacious D, I didn't have as much high hopes as I did Muse. This is still disappointment, but Rise of the Phoenix, I wasn't high on the others, so like.
As an album, I think it's better than Rise of the Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, probably. Rise of the Phoenix, I didn't care for it at all. But I think as a musical and talking about it like that and comparing it to LMFAO, Sorry for Party Rocking is worse than Drones, but I'd say it's better than the two. You'll get that much for LMFAO. Because the animations here, just the concepts and all that, and the praise for Elon Musk pissed me off because that did not age well.
No.
That was just a fucking random ass moment in this. It made no fucking sense in the whole storyline either.
It didn't. And then Johnny Depp showing up.
Yeah, which
talk about not aging well.
The Johnny Depp part would have actually been kind of funny if they didn't have to just spell it out for you.
Yeah.
The Richard Branson part ends up being the most normal part of it, because that's just a rich guy.
So comparing it to Party Rock and this in its musical form, Party Rock is a pretty fucking terrible album that highlights the worst of bro culture.
I think this also echoes many similar themes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think I think I'm just comparing two giant toads with each other, and I don't really want to smell which one smells worse. At some point, you get tired.
Which one
of
will you know
comparing
has
the
the
smell.
tannins and the deep aroma of oak?
Yeah, at some point, you just say, "This boat just smells like shit." Why am I looking for the most minuscule details to say which one smells better? I don't fucking.
Now,
I mean, I don't know why I've been into a situation where I'm comparing two pieces of shit to smell.
I mean, you might be on Big Brother at some point. Who knows?
Maybe, but until then, I think I'm just gonna leave them both in the fucking doghouse and let someone else clean it up.
Now,
Now, Ritz, if you open your mailbox, you will find a warm envelope.
the last thing I really want to say about this is, as somebody, who at least went to school for filmmaking, I'm not saying that I'm like great at it or that like I have much to show people or whatever the fuck. But as
Student film beat, watch it.
Yeah. But as someone who at least knows something about filmmaking, I would literally work for free to make this better. And by that, I would just force Jack Black to make more frames of animation. Just at least draw more things.
Yeah, there was nothing to look at. It was
Would this be a noble use of AI in terms of like adding animation?
Look, I think you said it best in the description, which this would make a really good fan remake for an animation,
Yes.
but it would require there to be fans themselves.
Yeah,
It feels like a fan made it.
you're right.
Like
If it was a case of this was like a young kid had made this as a little concept for a fan, put it onto YouTube, I would be less harsh on it.
Yes.
But it's not that. It is by people who have the money and the production value, the knowledge, and during a time in which it wasn't all shut down. So even though it feels like it was during that time, it wasn't. It was before it. So they don't even have that excuse.
There is a bit of lore behind why they animated it themselves, and that is they pitched the idea around everywhere, and nobody would take it.
Sure, and I
doubt everywhere.
I appreciate them doing the DIY thing. I think it would have been better doing shitty CG, and that may have been, lessening the amount of just sex happening. But that also went to the movie's benefit. Like again, I am fine with sex.
Why did you have to animate a robot giving head to Donald Trump Jr. in a Klan costume?
After he already gives Jack Black, just
the
sex.
Robot pussy.
Yeah, the robot pussy.
Which, by the way, has no relevance to the story whatsoever.
It has no relevance.
It's gratuitous, and you could go and say that's the point. But it was at a point where I really just wanted to fucking.
But then you got the ending where they're chopping all the dicks in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That also is super weird.
Yeah, during woman power.
Yeah, like again, not very feminist of you, Jack Black.
And
no.
let's put this in as well. I feel like when scenes, if scenes are random and make no point to the plot, I think they should always be very short, impactful jokes, or at least have some build up that makes a joke land. If they are just gratuitous sex for as long as it is, and it makes no impact to the overarching story, like it's not even referenced at all after it's done. It's just it's made no reference to the story. There's no impact on the characters and so on that. And I know you can go and say, "Oh, it's Tenacious D. Why does that matter?" But it's still judging it as a fucking film, which is what this is.
Like if you're
gratuitous.
If you're showing me a drama where like the character goes home after a hard day of work and takes a bath for 2 minutes, and the bath has no relevance to the plot, that at least shows you that that's the character reacting to the situation they're in, where they take a bath for a couple of minutes, and you at least get that from it. It's not relevant, but it's there, and you can understand why it's there.
Yeah.
And then to go into the very final thing, if all of that is thrown away and all you're left with is a gratuitous sex scene, it should at least be visually appealing in some way. It doesn't mean
it shouldn't be like traced medical documents.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I have to be turned on by this or anything like that. I don't think that should ever be a relevance to
No.
to what's considered beauty in films or visual.
It should at least be like visually appealing in a way.
Yes.
Because I've talked about the comics that I was just reading, and that's got a pretty grotesque visualization of sex. But there's a lot to look at that it's visually appealing in that way. It's not like I read it and go, oh shit, this is so fucking hot. It's fucking disgusting. But it's interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just MS paint a fucking penis and then just say you're done.
I think the sadder thing is that these were all hand-drawn, scanned, and then somebody else colored them.
That's the weird thing, is they actually had a couple other people involved. They had a producer, and they had someone that colored them.
Yeah, I'm done talking about this. This is bad. This is one of my least favorite things of this year. Yeah. No favorites. Basically all least favorites.
The theme is fine. Some of the songs have interesting parts to them. Like, they play well, they sing well, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'll say I like the theme.
Again, taken on its own as an album, it is much better. But in the fullness of it, it's not. It's not good at all.
We're talking about something good now.
Now, okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you have a sausage, and you chop both ends of the sausage. You just have a casing with meat in the middle. No beginning, no end, all meat. Or you have a tepid cup of tea that has taste, but again, not the most appealing thing, but it's certainly there. Then you might have this Oolong self-titled.
Alright, so Oolong self-titled, the second album from Oolong. They've made a bit of a splash in the fifth wave scene. Recently just informed from Dominic after research that the drummer is the former drummer of Jank, which means we now covered the remaining member of Jank to not be cancelled, and hopefully it stays that way.
Yes.
It's been a bit of a curse with that band. I picked this album because whilst it is very like it feels very lowly produced in a way, not lo-fi. It just feels like there's a lot of instrumentation that doesn't quite hit up. The riffs are really fucking funky on this, and it's kind of lot to process with just how little they do in this. And it's a long album, and does it hit the full way? No, but does it hit enough times for me? Yeah.
This did not hit for me pretty much at all.
It didn't for me either.
It is.
You two are wrong.
It is the most. Wow, there sure are 21 songs in this album.
Oh yeah, no, this could be cut down.
Yeah,
like compared
to
this
100% could be cut down.
Compared to, I'm going to bring them up again as they're my favorite example. Compared to Gami Gang, which is a double album, like you can understand why that album is the way it is.
Yeah,
not all the songs hit, but they're there, they're different, they're varied. This literally to me feels like 16 out of 21 songs are roughly the same.
Yeah. You know what this
there was
feels
definitely
like
a lot
to
of. You go first, yes.
This album feels to me like an in-universe band's album.
I was thinking about that too. I wasn't going to say it because I thought that was maybe too much, but you're right.
You know what? I won't actually disagree with that. I can see that kind of vibe going in with this, and I feel. I mean, there's one thing I can definitely say I'm not too surprised of with Trix not really hitting on this one. I think the bass is mixed pretty lowly on this album. I think that is, at points in this album, actually a bit of a detriment. And other songs, I think it's fine without having it. I mean, I fucking love Ritz. I think that song's a really good example of a song that's really catchy off this album. Has those kind of, very cliche riffing that's happening on this album. Absolutely. This is not a groundbreaking album by any means. Yeah, it's very noodly. Yeah, I think it's an album that has some pretty good highlights off it. I do think they happen mostly in the first half, and you say that 16 out of 21 songs sound the same. To a sense, I can agree with that. I think there's a bit of consistency with the sound that can work of its detriment from an album. But I feel like when they slow this album down, that's where it just doesn't hit for me at all.
Like, I was just like, we have mom jeans at home.
Yeah.
Like songs like Pizza Hut, where they literally have the chorus about I love all my friends, yada, yada, yada. Like, God, we've been here before. They're not saying anything new with this.
Yeah.
I understand that art and all these things are made from an emotional place, and you want to express the things that matter to you, and get the color of your life out on the album, and I appreciate them for that. But like the things that are kind of here, I feel like are either not hitting or are just like genre stalwarts. I love my friends. They help me pretend I am better, not under the weather.
Yeah,
I it's other people have not said that, but they have expressed similar sentiments.
Yeah, and I mean, starting the album with like a quote about taking a bong rip is fucking cliche as hell, even.
Which is very funny, so that Soul Glow did the same thing on their album that we listened to.
Yeah.
No, I again, I agree. This is a very cliche emo record, especially for the fifth wave. I mean, this sounds like the fourth wave, basically. It's a continuation from that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make no mistake, this isn't even the favorite of the two that I picked this week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I still think there's some pretty strong highlights on the first half of this album. Is it? Yeah, that kind of not. I mean, if you listen to songs that are like this, you're not gonna go and say this is incredible to the state of that. You need to listen to this. This will change everything. But I don't think this will change shit. I think it's a case of if you like noodly guitar emo with a bit of rough vocals to them, which I do. I'm happy to admit I like that type of sound. I like Mum Jeans, so I'll defend fucking Best Buds. Not to my death, but halfway there.
I think that was also an album that Trix and I were not super strong on either.
Mm-hmm.
I think
to be fair as well, that one had a lot of hype when it came out as well, and you talked about a coworker who kept telling you about Mum Jeans, and you were a bit.
That's true.
I guess you didn't quite see the hype, and that's fair. I don't think Best Buds will go down as one of the best emo records of all time. I think it's just a good emo record.
I think it will, though, is the problem. I think it'll be highlighted constantly, especially in like the weed emo scene, it'll be kind of held up.
Weed, yeah, in that sense. But I mean, it's a pretty divisive record in online talks anyway. Some people will defend it. I will defend it. Other people will attack the shit out of it. There's enough people that we cover and talk to that love to attack Mum Jeans. I don't know why, but they just do.
Leave Mum Jeans alone.
I guess that is the problem with this album, is that you do have to you can't really talk about Oolong themselves. You just have to talk about what the scene kind of sounds like, because that's what it is.
If someone's listening to Mom Jeans and they want to listen to something else in the scene, I'm not going to point them to Oolong, because I feel like, well, you're already listening to it. I would probably point them to like a Carly Cosgrove, because Carly Cosgrove has some of the similar fourth wave elements, but they do things with them. They elevate them. They add interesting instrumentation and like new stuff.
Which reminds me, we do need to cover the new Carly Cosgrove at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of artists put out new albums. It's we can only cover so much, but we want to cover as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is probably a quickie to talk about because, I mean, yeah, you're right. There is a lot of similarity. You can't really talk about track by track, other than I like Runts, I like Tofurky Tough, I love Daisy. I think there was some moments where they had those kind of catchy moments. Runts is one that just sticks in my head. That's definitely the highlight for me. I think whilst those little quotes and stuff are a bit cliche and stuff, some of them are kind of a bit interesting. I mean, the closing one where he talks about finding his tooth that was on the floor.
Like I would like, even with Daisy, I was just reminded of like some like saying dude bro emo guys is kind of an oxymoron, but like
yeah, like
some real like Mom Jeans-esque peoples trying to hit on a girl, and I'm just like, I'm really kind of not here for this. I don't know. It just overall, it wasn't like a bad taste in my mouth. It was just like, I'm trying to grasp onto literally anything, and you're over here talking about I've lost myself in the sauce and the moon in your eyes, and I'm just like, oh, come the fuck on, man.
I think the probably most impressive part about this is how well you've been able to digest this album.
Yeah.
Are we that far down the emo? Because, I mean, the first time I listened to this album, I still like this album. You two aren't going to change me on that. But the thing, the thing that hits me for this is mostly the riffs on here. I love some good noodly riffs, like heavy riffs that are happening, and this album is absolutely full of it, to a point where on first listen it is kind of hard to remember some of these songs.
Yes.
And you have to give it a couple listens, which to some people that's not really what they want. The first impression doesn't hit too well. It's not really going to hit, and obviously for you two, it's past the first impression and it hasn't hit so well. So it's probably, I don't think that's going to change.
Like,
yeah.
Hershey Park, I kind of remember being interesting. The last song being more of an acoustic thing, Better Be Better, was interesting. And I remember, too, Oolong was a band that I put on the Fifth Wave Emo draft. There was
a lot of hype. Yeah, there's a lot more hype about that album, I believe, than this one. But
yeah. So, like, I was always down to cover Oolong. I also get Oolong confused with Ogbert the Nerd more than I should.
No, I've done that.
I almost
has a new album.
With the Nerds Taylor Swift project on back when that was still relevant.
Could you repeat that? You kind of cut up there.
I almost put Ogbert the Nerd's Taylor Swift project on the podcast back when that was still relevant.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
I don't even know they had. I don't know too much about Ogbert the Nerd besides the last album because I haven't listened to it before.
They scooped up Taylor Swift's Bandcamp page and put out some Screamo songs.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Also, they're apparently the premier emo band from New Jersey, which is just them.
And I mean,
the only emo band in
Oolong's
New
from
Jersey.
Long Island, and so I'm sure they're a rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they also recommend the EP by Ogbert the Nerd in their Bandcamp.
Yeah, I like this. I can understand that it's not really progressing forward, but we haven't really covered all these bands before, so may as well give them a go.
I appreciate that. I'm down to listen to more.
Yep.
I hope something will catch eventually. It's just not this.
I've listened to the debut
agree.
once, but I can't really remember it too much. So maybe I'll listen to it again. If I feel like it's a bit more worth it, I'll bring it up. If not, I won't. Until then, I like this. If you like some pretty cliche fourth wave punk emo, you will like this record. If you're not into that or you want more, then you're not going to get anything from this. That's simply put. Favorites of this: Runts, Tofurky, Tough, Daisy. I like Daisy. Least favorites, probably one of the slower tracks. Better Be Better is actually good out of all the slower tracks, and then it kind of drops off before that. Though I'd probably say like something like I Got This.
I like.
This is a classic blender for me.
I would almost agree. I do think it's mostly a blender. Like I said, Hershey Park kind of stood out to me. Better Be Better was at least an interesting ending. I remember not liking Fuck It Lego Hands at all. That's really about all I got for that.
Now, go on a rant for 2 seconds, because I just need to put the oven on for a little longer as I cook my pork. So just go on a rant before you pick your next album.
Okay.
I just think that I prefer emo that is a little more progressive and a little more trying different things, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
I agree.
Yeah, like that's kind of where my interests are. Is like music that's trying different things or experimenting with something, even if it's not like successful.
Did you finish the rant?
I'm finishing it now.
Go ahead.
Even if it's not successful, I will still appreciate that more than, oh, we like this one sound. Let's just kind of do this sound and like do some variation on it for an entire album. Like that's just not as interesting to me.
Yeah. So what do you want to pick next?
Do you want to do Fifth Wave for Fifth Wave?
Trix, what are we picking next?
Let's do Fifth Wave for Fifth Wave and talk about the Your Arms Are My Cocoon side project that I forgot the name of.
Afraid of Crushes?
Yes.
What an EP. Holy shit.
Yes, I agree.
It's just 3 tracks. They're all great.
It's 4 tracks. 4 tracks if you get it off Bandcamp.
Oh shit, I need to buy it on Bandcamp. What's the 4th
shit.
Yeah, Pin Up in comic books, which just from memory is a lot more use of the instrumentation, like of the full band instrumentation in this.
I need to listen to that. I really want to listen to that.
Yeah.
I just didn't buy the album yet because, I don't have money.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out after this podcast.
Like, God. Belly is cool, and then Sundays being like a slow jam. I'm so there for it. And then Canada Geese, I think, is like an actual, like, revival song in a way. It kind of harkens back to some like emo classic stuff, but also Tyler is just really good at like spinning it and just doing lyrics. It's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, compare this to when we first covered Your Arms and My Cocoon.
Yeah,
I had the take of, and I kind of still agree now that I think it's very good conceptually, but the lack of production and just how it's done is very much a detriment to it. Whilst some people would probably say it's the stylings, I've always thought that just by having it in GarageBand and stuff and all like that is really left it kind of unfinished. And that was definitely proven right when Your Arms finally got the band and started doing the live shows, and we got the full proper live production of Your Arms and My Cocoon, and the songs are fucking incredible live.
yes,
it's just night and day. There's nothing else to say about it. And I feel Afraid of Crushes is now like it kind of more follows on from like Metamorphosis, if we're going to compare it to any song off the original album EP, whatever we're going to call it.
A good comparison point too is just comparing the stuff that's also on the demos and like the tour CD that we got.
Yeah, I mean we can talk about both at the same time. There's no reason why we can't.
Yeah,
it's all Tyler Odom.
Like this was an exclusive tour CD, so there's not many people that are going to have it. But it's also a lot of stuff people might have heard before, and some new stuff.
And there's stuff on the SoundCloud, so it's not like it's impossible to find.
Yeah.
And it's a case of with Afraid of Crushes without that, like with that slightly better production that's happening onto this, and the songs are actually being allowed to like breathe a bit more. You can see actually how talented Tyler actually is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just concepts; it's actual songs now.
Yeah.
Like I think like Canada Geese, like the lyrics on it are just wonderful. And it's just like a really, really wistful song about, you know, do you remember me when you're on your way to work? Do you remember how I kissed? You know, that sort of thing. It's just like, keep me in your bedroom, keep me on the snowy banks of Illinois, push my head into the snow, burn the only friends I know. Like, those are just so vivid and so just, I don't know, because of Tyler's like singing ability and like presence in a song and the way they're delivered, they just have like oomph to them. They have an emotional element to them that you grab onto right away.
Well, I mean, I'll compare it to Metamorphosis again because I feel like if you watch any live one, that's the one that people sing along to, and that's also like 6 lines in total, but yet it says enough in it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like from memory, we were like I was the most hot on Your Arms and My Cocoon originally.
Yeah.
When we listened to it in its original form.
Yes.
And I feel like the years have only done it in a way like a huge help.
I would admit even to the original form as it is, I was still more like cold on it than I should have been. It is better than I gave it credit for.
Yeah.
Whilst I still agree with with it being a concept more than it is, and I do agree that it is still quite good.
And just seeing the like it's been what 4 years now. And he hasn't really put out much. Like, You're Always My Cocoon, there isn't a ton out there.
No, I mean, we're probably caught this at the best time. They finally announced the next album.
Yeah, Death of a Rabbit, August 11th.
Yeah, it'll be out by the time this is out.
But, like, this CD is, like, what we have for the first time since covering them originally. And it's some stuff I forgot that we heard some of these tracks before. I was totally like absorbing this as new stuff, and I was super impressed by how far, you know, the whole project had come.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Swing Set Cemetery, like, oh god, Let's Get Married, even if it's like a super lo-fi demo. And then like fucking Valentine's Day, holy shit. For a demo, super fucking impressive.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's so many parts to that, and just like some really nice, just, you know, instruments coming and going. You get that one really nice plucky guitar part where it kind of just signals on a whole like crash of music, and then like they all come together again at the end in a really nice swelling like coda to everything. It like for the 8.5-minute tracks that we like to cover, you know, that are like epics and they say stuff and do stuff. I would really like to see this stuff on the new album, but I'm also afraid because it's here, it might not be. If it's not like a demo specifically.
Yeah.
But then
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
there are also songs that haven't really been played live or anything like that, so it'd be interesting to see. Interesting to see if they do get like a revival, assuming as yaamc is now more fully fleshed as a live act. I mean, the deluxe edition that we would have covered would have been like Mecha Fest and stuff, which would have all been just that would have been before a full band. It would have just been Tyler solo, I would believe.
Would have been just like digital, like making it sound like a band.
Yeah, all the live stuff on that, and I'm just trying to look back on it. When was it released? 2021. I found it. Yeah, like Battle Fest and Mecha Fest, and that had Houston live.
Yes, Houston. So 13 Days Without Mail. I Did Not Have Fun in the 10th Grade. Those are all on there.
Yeah, but I believe Houston's the only one that's as a somewhat live. You know, it's 2021 Mecha Fest. That was an online festival, and also a song called OK, which I don't believe is on any of these.
And then, of course, there's the last song, Burden Up, which I fucking love. Like, some real fucking Hex D shit there.
Yeah.
It's I'm Ruined. That's the title of that one.
Yeah.
But, like, that goes back to the whole relationship with Cybergrind, too, if we really want to get into that. But, like, oh my god. Like, this and Afraid of Crushes, I think, shows how much like Tyler has blossomed as an artist, and how much like on the tracks where there is a full band, like how much the ideas that are on display really do benefit from having more people.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is demos. Afraid of Crushes is a small EP, but I just think there's a lot of passion here.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful to listen to. I mean, the demos and stuff still have some of the faults that are with the earlier yaamc, I feel, but I feel like they are executed a bit better now. They have a bit more production going on with them, and I think they're shining as songs a bit more. And obviously, Afraid of Crushes to talked about. I mean, it's not really like there's much need for garage band when it is just kind of Tyler and the guitar for most of it. Despite the bonus track being a bit more in that style. And it'll also be interesting to see what Afraid of Crushes turns into, because I think Tyler did mention that it is probably going to be like the slower acoustic solo stuff as yaamc turns more into a full band now.
But there's also a fair amount of instrumentation. I feel like there has to be multiple people, or unless he's just tracking over himself, I guess.
It just says written and recorded in my bedroom from October 2023 to May 2024. So who knows? I assume it's solo for now, and it could still be.
But like,
that case of it.
And we know that Tyler plays the violin and everything, so that's not super surprising. But like, I mean, I do want to mention like the use of like, I think it's like a mandolin on the demos.
I didn't listen that closely, I'll be honest.
Yeah, me neither. I don't have as keen of an ear as you do.
Just like stuff like, oh, they're pulling out shit on this. They really want this to be a thing. Like, again, it's on Valentine's Day where I most notice it. And I mean, that also goes back to Oolong also using the singing saw a lot too. Like, that's something. But I was, again, just impressed with how far, like just like getting to those home is where vibes of like, okay, we're gonna like throw instruments in this and like figure out what sounds good versus just let's do a riff and have fun. Like, you can have fun with like other instruments and see how it all sounds, but I dig this kind of stuff much more than I dig something that Oolong is doing right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm dominating all this. I apologize, but I just
I think you've said all that needs to be said as well, to be honest.
Just because and it's also
here. You picked it. You get to dominate. Dominate. I just realized the pun. Let's go.
Oh God. Anything else that you two want to say about it? Either.
There was a Malcolm in the Middle sample. Yes. That was funny.
Really good use of a sample.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that sample, gets across the point and what they're going for. Oh my God, it's really good.
I'll admit
Um,
I heard Will Arnett and my brain immediately went to Arrested Development for that, so I just assumed it was an Arrested Development bit.
No, it was BoJack Horseman.
Gotcha.
I forgot what the line was exactly, but it was BoJack
It's
Horseman.
about eating the muffins, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one where he eats the muffins.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
because the Navy SEAL, one of the muffins.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember now.
But I think the lines about Reese trying to ask out a girl, and everyone's like, or the girl's like, "Who's Reese? Do you know who Reese is?"
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
I think that gets those emo vibes across very, very well.
It does.
Yeah. Afraid of Crushes, all favorites, no least favorites. I need to listen to the last song now. And I really like the demos. Like I wouldn't say there's any least favorites, and I think Valentine's Day and then the day after Valentine's Day, those are my favorites for sure.
Look, I think the demos are weaker just because they are demos, but it doesn't mean that they're bad. I think the worst this week is so far away from the second worst this week. It's insane
Yes.
for me.
Yeah.
Afraid of Crushes is definitely the better one, just as a full length, even though it's shorter, just because it's a lot more concise and so it's got that better production. And you're right, Canada Geese is a really fucking good vibe. So I'd say my favorite off that is Canada Geese. Least favorite, if I had to pick one, is probably Belly, because I think it gets better as it goes on.
Yeah.
Least favorite of the demos, probably the Swing Set Cemetery demo, because there's not much needing when we got the original on there, and that just like overpowers it. And then Swing Set Cemetery itself is probably the best.
Favorites for me is Canada Geese off of the I already forgot the name. It's 4 a.m. We'll keep rolling.
Afraid of
But
Crushes.
off the Your Arms My Cocoon, my favorite is looking at it, Valentine's Day. I quite enjoyed just that 8-minute song.
Yes. Hell yeah.
No real least favorites.
All right. Let's move on to Gatecrash.
Burn it all down. That's the intro.
The life that lies between.
This is a very young screamo band from Geelong, which is regional Victoria, which is South Australia, but not South Australia the state. It's the East Coast South side. That's the way of explaining it. This is rough in the best ways possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's the intro.
Like some of these albums, this is kind of a blunder for me, but not in a bad way.
Cheese sandwich.
Yeah, it's a cheese sandwich, I would say. It all is very short. They're all, kind of just flipping through tracks. And I think, the sounds, the riffs, just like some of just the cool things that they kind of do with some of these, it's varied enough. It sounds nice.
This is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of young people in the emo scene. I mean, they're not like they're 5 or anything like that. I think they're all like I think they're probably the 18, 19s. It looks like
the emo scene.
No, it's not that, because this is good. It's the production is absolutely rough on this. There could be there could be second takes on this, and they could clean this up in a bit, and it could sound tighter. But it's just not the point. The point is that this is people who are butting into the screamo scene and making a bit of a wave in the Australian screamo scene as well. Which, making a wave in the Australian emo scene is basically just filling up a cup of water, because it's fucking not big. But still, they've gotten highlights on. I think Hanoi Traffic gave him a shout out. I think Doris might have given him a shout out as well. Bands that we've covered. They've played a couple shows in Melbourne. I don't think they've gone out of it yet because, well, pretty young. But yeah, it's rough. It's in a point, not really like. I can't say it's like bringing in new sound to the whole thing, but it hits. Like, I like the Oolong album. I thought this hit, but this hit harder.
Oh yeah.
It's raw and rough, and it's great. They realized that's what they are, and they doubled down on it.
As the Bandcamp page says, these songs were written in our school storage cupboard between March and June 2024. So I think you're onto something about them being young.
Yeah.
But they also
Well,
seem to have
that if you look at their Spotify bio, I'm sorry to insult you here, bud, but you do look like the guy on the left. You look like the Australian H2O Just Need Water version of the kid from Stranger Things.
Oh God, how many? Which kid? There's so many of them.
The one on the left. It helps just because you're also wearing a Nirvana shirt. Like, you got that 90s vibe going on there. You know, and Stranger Things has that kind of 80s thing. It's not just the hair.
I cannot see this image, so this is just fun to listen to.
I'm pulling it up now.
Not trying to bully you. I'm just
just
trying to get the vibe that goes on.
He looks like Finn Wolfhard.
But you can take a look just at the image. They obviously look young. That's
yeah.
It's just not hard. Oh no, absolutely. Like I said, not trying to bully with these comments here.
I was again reminded of Jerome's Dream and how much I wished that album could be something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they would probably take that as such a fucking compliment, just with how respected Jerome's Dream are in the screamo scene. Full stop. But yeah, I mean, could you really go to a specific song off this and say this is the absolute best song off it? Probably not. But it's a short 14 minutes basically of just. Is it teen angst personified? Probably. It's done well.
You say that.
I heavily fuck. I mean, I don't know what the lyrics are. I didn't read the lyrics, so maybe it's not just that.
The lyrics of "I love collaboration, other forms of teamwork."
Go ahead.
Meow, orange, a cat is all I want. It's worth nothing.
Okay, never mind.
Here's something.
Never mind. It's brain rot.
Hold on. It's worth nothing, but here's something. All short people should be femboys. Sorry.
Okay, so never mind. They are talking about the important topics.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is only one policy I agree with. All the short boys must be femboys.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
But in a sense, this is the sound-wise, usually of teen angst. It's heavy, it's rough, it's loud.
And I really appreciate Loop for being a loop that they just kind of had.
Yeah.
And there were no lyrics in Loop, I'm pretty sure, but they still put lyrics on the Bandcamp page.
I mean, I'm still not convinced of half the music that we listen to that the lyrics are actually what is being sung.
That's entirely fair. Yeah, really cool.
So this is signed to Gatecrash Records. That is totally a legitimate record label.
Hey, Gatecrash forever, man.
Yeah, no, this simply put, as I said, it's raw, it's rough, it's so poorly produced, and it just doubled down on all of it, and it fucks.
I want to listen to the
people. That was released pretty recently as well. That was also a 2024 release.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I highly recommend this.
I'll have to slide in that EP somewhere if no one else picks it.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those bands as well that, like, if they don't break out, one of the members probably will in like 5 years or something, and then you'll go back and listen to Gatecrash. And you yell at that person at that big successful band, play a Gatecrash song. It'll be
the Mouse to Doors connection. It'll be Gatecrash and something that's not even made yet.
Yeah.
We say cheese sandwich because it's not really a blender. I think there are moments that stand out, but I think it's just all good in its own right.
Like the sound difference from Arcadia and Silver alone compared to everything else, fantastic. Like, just having that change up, that just immediate identity to anything you're doing. I love it. All right. Now we come to our final thing of the night. Donny Benét's Infinite Desires.
You know what's really funny?
What?
We've gone from probably these really grotesque, like, depictions of sex that aren't actually like good depictions. It's just grotesque of how poorly done it is.
Yeah.
To somebody who kind of has a kind of whole joke vibe of how much sex. unironically, Donny Benét is so much fucking sexier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I would trust Donny Benét with me, no matter what stage I was in.
I so badly want to just sit down for like an hour with Donny Benét and just talk shop about like basses and bass guitars and just he seems like a cool dude to like geek out with
I
about
want to be in the room
basses.
in that conversation, but I am just drinking endless Cosmos. And not
I
even
saw Donny Benét.
Yeah, we're all sipping Negronis.
I saw Donny Benét a month ago or something like that as he performed this album and sung some other ones, and he talks about stories about performing some of these songs and all this, and he's kind of a captivating performer.
Talk about, making a political statement with one song and just it hits. American Dream is one of the best songs on this album.
Oh, it's so good. It's just, at its worst, this album, it's still just really groovy. It's really lovely to listen to the instrumentation. Donny Benét is not the most groundbreaking with the sound that he puts out, but it's so fucking well executed.
Yeah. Like, you're hearing different things. You're hearing at least something new that's not the last track over and over. Like, I'm saying Go Now at the end has a really nice Daft Punk-esque, like, thing happening. I wish that Daft Punk would be...
Yeah, it sounds like something specifically off of Random Access Memories. I'm forgetting the song.
And let me just also put this out there when I'm saying not groundbreaking. When I said that with Oolong, I feel like Oolong you could still mistake for a lot of bands in the scene. I think whilst Donny Benét isn't the most groundbreaking sound, though, Donny Benét does still have a sound that is distinctly his.
Yes, I think that making that distinction is important because I don't want to seem like a hypocrite that I'm praising this for sounding the same when I'm criticizing Oolong for sounding the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just from Multiply all the way down, there is something for everybody. Like, I'm actually intrigued by the fucking love affair plot in Forbidden Love, and that is a tale as old as time.
It's very captivating. Yeah, I mean, someone writes a hook here, and the most important thing about a hook is that it hooks you. And the hooks just aren't even just the lyrics or the choruses or anything. It's the grooves. It hooks you in. You're interested in the song because of how catchy that groove is before he's even said a fucking word.
Yes.
It's good. This is a really good album.
The man knows how to make music.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing we would have covered from Donny Benét would have been the La Piano EP. And I wasn't as hot on that as you were, but we still did appreciate it.
And that was in a really crazy week that we listened to that too.
Yeah, that was fucking a lot. We're never doing that again. Not in 1,000 years next week. But I still think Donny Benét really shines when he does get to sing, though. Because whilst everything else is good, it's just the cream on top, basically. He's got a very sexy voice.
Like,
he does.
He just gives the whole vibe that he's someone that knows something about loving.
It's the charisma that's given in. Like, I remember getting called out at the fucking... even though I'm not balding, although you can't really... When I said that on audio and stuff, now everybody's going to think I am fuck. And he was talking about losing hair and coming to terms and starting to be confident. And he asked the crowd, like, who he is going bald. And, like... Only a small amount of people put their hands up, and he just says, I see a lot of people with hats inside. I'm just cold out and like, fucking hell, why are you going to do that to me? And that's the thing, like, that's a beauty of why Donny Benét is so good with he's a very confident sounding man. He's not going into these topics with any kind of nerve about it or anything like that. It's not like he makes the taboo not feel taboo.
Yes.
I would love just like a Donny Benét graphic novel about like his life as like a Lothario or something. Just watching him in these scenes, just being like, "Go now, you must go." And
put it in this as well, as someone with the kind of aesthetic that Donny Benét has, and with the topics that he mostly sings about, you would assume this to be very sleazy. Like there is a sleaze element to it, but it's not. It's not in a bad way. It's a very kind of like the sleaze in here is actually sexy. It's very little where there's there as well. That's the thing. It's not overdone.
It's presented in the best light possible for you to be like cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, who else is going to get away with a song called "Consensual Lovin'" and actually mean it?
Yeah.
And I mean, we can compare this to the last full album that we covered. We would have covered Mr. Experience back in 2020, and that was, I think that was one I kind of picked out of the whole. I kind of liked a couple of the songs I've been hearing, and need to finally listen to this, and then it came as a surprise. We all loved that album from memory.
Yeah, this is better.
Yeah,
this is better.
Yeah, I mean there are highlights on Mr. Experience which I can still remember, even not having listened to that album in a while. I mean, we talk about "Girl of My Dreams." That was a really slowed down song done so well, where you could actually feel the emotion in it, and he hasn't lost any of that touch.
No.
That's what you need. Like, my best like hope for Donny Benét, if he doesn't break out like he should, is that he's just that guy that people in the future, 20 years from now, will find in like people's record collections and be like, "Oh, this Donny Benét guy, who's this?" Right?
I mean, you say hasn't broke out, but you know he's not mainstream in a sense, but he still had some success. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He recently just did a tour of both US and Europe, as well as obviously Australia.
But I would like him to be kind of like one of those kind of later cult hits, you know, because like, oh my god, he had some success now, obviously, with some songs, but just like that guy you find in your like parents' record collection 20 years later, and you're like, oh, the 2010s and the 2020s were actually onto some shit with his music. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like finding those obscure 80s records in your parents' collection is kind of what I'm getting at.
My father's record collection is all obscure 80s hits, so I can't relate, but I get it, I guess.
I mean, my parents' musical taste spans a lot of different things, so sure. But.
I mean, in the sense, this is probably actually my favorite of this week, just because it's just it's excellent start to finish. What can you say? I don't think there's a single bad song off this. Is it a 10?
No. Not
quite, but it's better than Mr. Experience, and I love Mr. Experience, and I still do.
I agree.
This is fantastic hearing it live as well, before I'd probably even listened to this album at full. And like it's just great.
I want to see Donny Benét live now. I really do. I missed it.
This is
hopefully he'll be back.
This is just a recommend. Full stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna say something, Trix?
I really quite enjoyed this album. The bass on it's phenomenal. Donny Benét sure knows how to play the fuck out of a bass guitar. Favorites is all of it.
Yeah, I mean, American Dream, I quite like a lot. Go Now, really, really strong, especially in the ending. But it's all really great.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and get my parents to listen to this album.
Yeah.
No one's talked about Multiply. I don't need to. My dad's already listened to this. Multiply with that. The opening bass in it is just fucking. It kicks you in really well. American Dream is obviously a really good. You know, it's a political track. Yes, it doesn't really say anything about politics that hasn't already been said, but it's also a very good kind of it's kind of a good summary.
It's surprising
of just where
it works.
Yeah, especially for somebody who doesn't live in America. You know, he is a Sydney sider.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of just him kind of trying to wrap his head around all the politics that come around. You know, I think it's done pretty tastefully. It's not trying to put out a view from somebody who doesn't know what they're saying. It's him saying what he does know. And I like Consensual Loving. I like Go Now. I don't really have a least favorite off this either. It's not quite a 10 out of 10 just because I feel like there are moments in which there could be more that this album can do. It's kind of similarity to previous Donny Benét's kind of really restricts it from really going further. I wish there was a lot more that he's doing with his sound now. But his sound is still uniquely his, and it is still hitting hard.
I think he has yet to crest. I think he has room to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's That's this week's episode discussion. Let's go on to rankings.
Indeed.
I'll start happily. Least favorite, I judge it as a musical because that's how I did it. It's Post-Apocalypto, but just fucking far. Throw that in the trash. Then what am I gonna have to put? I think I'm gonna put the demos as the second last, and then I'm gonna put Oolong. I do like that Oolong, but I think everything's better after that. Then I'm gonna put Afraid of Crushes. Then I'm just making sure I got fucking everything. It's a fucking thing because this has been a week. Yeah, putting gatecrash, and then it would be Donny Benét. Yeah, that's everything.
If we're counting it as a musical, Post-Apocalypto is last. So I'll start there. Then after that's Oolong. Now, if we're considering Post-Apocalypto as an album, I would put it above Oolong. Beyond that,
Damn.
I would put Gatecrash next. Gatecrash and Up, I really like. So these top four are pretty close. So Gatecrash is great. After that, I'm going to do the demos. I really like the demos. I think they're some of my favorite demos we've listened to on the show. Then Afraid of Crushes. Then Donny Benét's Infinite Desires is at the top.
All right. I'm going to put Tenacious D's In Post-Apocalypto as a musical and as an album at the very bottom. I'm then going to go Oolong, the demos, Gatecrash, Afraid of Crushes, and Donny Benét.
I think I have both number 1 and number 2 this week. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, I put Gatecrash as number 2 for me.
Fuck. All right. At least I got number 1.
Yeah, you got the number 1. You're back in the good books this week.
All right. So, like I said before, this is going to be kind of a weird month, July, of kind of scheduling shows. And so we're changing some things around. And next week, we're going to do a return of a theme we did once before. Albums that our parents liked. And the theme this time is that we're flipping it. So if you picked your dad's favorite, you're picking your mom's favorite. That sort of thing. If you have more than 2 parents, we'll figure it out down the line.
Down the line, yes.
And if you only had one, well, fuck.
Well, make it
Pick him again.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I'm
still
first.
picking.
Okay.
I actually have a bit of a game for the both of you. My mom gave me 4 choices, so I'm each going to have you pick one.
Okay.
So just pick a number between 1 and 4, both of you.
3.
2.
Okay, the 2 albums we are doing are Tom Waits' The Black Rider and Cocteau Twins' Treasure.
Fair enough.
Okay. When I first suggested doing this theme in like 2020 or 2021, whenever we first fucking did it, I always knew what my dad pick was going to be. My dad has talked about this album at length. He told me when he was in high school, he recited the signature song from the album as a poem in English class because he was just so in love with it. It is one of the biggest albums ever. There's probably almost nothing to be said by putting it on the show, but I'm sure we can find something. It's Led Zeppelin 4.
All right.
Alright, so I've got a couple of things I could probably consider here, as I'm currently pushing for a bit of time, but I shouldn't, because I kind of need to head off and cook my pork very soon. And I'm just trying to remember all the stuff that my mum's loved, but realistically, the ones in which we got to cover has to be something which I, one, think is worth talking about on the podcast, and then obviously, two, have kind of talked about with my mum, I guess, or like had a had enough of a connection in which I think it's worth saying, and not just doing a cop out. Because whilst I could pick something like Black Sabbath and Paranoid, which I know she would have absolutely loved when it came out, I didn't really talk to her much about Black Sabbath or anything like that, so I feel like it's a cop out. And the one which I can think of and say, yes, we did actually kind of talk about this. It was an album in which it came out, we were both hyped for. And I think funnily enough, the debut she bought The third album my brother bought, and then the one that we're covering is the one that I bought, which I think is their best. It's the one that we're hyped for, and it's fucking Australians doing Britpop. It's DMA's For Now. So we're staying in 2018.
All right.
DMA.
DMAs.
How do you spell it? Just I found it.
How can I fucking spell it even more?
Well, it's the A's part that fucking got me.
DMAs.
Apostrophe S.
Would you like to buy a vowel?
It's DMA.
How do I spell fucking spelling?
Dominic, I'll just post a screenshot.
I got it now. I got it.
No, you need to go back to fucking kindergarten here.
I got the fucking hiccups.
What follows the letter C? What follows L? What's the first letter of the fucking alphabet?
Z?
You're close.
A.
Hey, fucking Americans.
Okay. So that puts us at DMAs for now. That's your mom's pick, Ritz.
Yep.
Trix, for your mom, you picked both Tom Waits' The Black Rider and Cocktail Twins' Treasure. And for my father, I have picked Led Zeppelin's Led Zeppelin 4. Alright, that's going to do it for us this week on Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter, Dominic Jacoki on YouTube if you must. I'm also on the Games My Mom Found podcast sometimes. We just recorded an episode about Kingdom Hearts 0.2, A Fragmentary Passage, so that'll be out at some point.
I've been Ritalin. You can catch me in the stuff below. I've screamed at Dominic too much. I'm out of it now.
And I have been Trix. You can find me hand animating all of Tenacious D's Post-Apocalypto over again.
Dissonantwaves.space is our website, assumedly, if we ever get that fixed.
Buy our clock.
By our shower curtain. Dissonant Waves on Twitter, Dissonant Waves on YouTube. We have a Patreon. If you could support that, that'd be cool.
Yep.
Other than that, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful time, whatever you're doing.
See you all.
Bye.